In this podcast, I show you how to shoot and retouch this photo that was taken right into the sun. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, and welcome to this podcast, episode number 36. My name is Serge Ramelli. I'm a French photographer living in Paris. Viva la France! But I speak English. All right, last week I showed you how to do black and white, a secret on black and white photography to be more precise. Check out last week's episode. This week, I'm going to show you how I shot and retouched this photo. This photo was one of my most famous landscape. I did not shoot this in the Wild West. I shot this close to Paris as I was walking with my kids, and the sun was coming right behind the horse, and I shot this. And in the video, in the tutorial, I will show you what settings I use to shoot this type of photo when you have, when you are straight into the sun, and how to retouch it. So let's not wait. Let's go right now. All right, mesdames et messieurs. So let's do this retouching, and let me just give you a few informations about how this photo was taken. To start with, this I took this bracketing. Why did I do that? Because when you shoot straight into the sun, the camera has a hard time figuring out what's the right exposure. So what I usually do is I do some bracketing, not to the idea that I will do HDR, but to the idea that I will get the right exposure for that photo. You see, so this was shot at 1/25th of a second at 7.1. That's the normal exposure, and that's what I end up using. But then I was bracketing, I also took this underexposed photo at 1/500th of a second, so much faster. So, as the shutter speed is faster, there's less light coming in, so the photo is darker. And then automatically, it took another photo at 1/30th of a second, so much slower, and it was so slow that you can see that the horse is totally, is completely blurred. So the only one that was usable was this one. So what I suggest that you do is either you go manual and you try to get the idea is that when you look at the photo on the back of your camera, you should still be able to see some details in the sun. Like it should not just be like a white circle like it is here, And of course, your foreground is going to be very dark, but you can still see a bit of details. And you know that if you shoot RAW, that's important. You must shoot RAW for this. You will be able to get some details. So basically you shoot underexposed. And a little advice I can give you, if you're not sure, you just go AV or manual mode, and then you do some bracketing. But you do normal shoot -1 + 1, not -2 + 2, so that you have, exposures which are just very close to each other. And one of the three photos will be perfect to retouch. For me, this is the perfect one. Why? As I said, it's not totally burned with the sun, and the horse still has some details. Okay, so once we've done that, let's retouch the photo. So look at the magic of RAW file. If I open up the shadows, check this out. I can see details in the horse that I couldn't see before. And if I bring down the highlights, now I can see a lot of details in the sky. Then let's do the usual stuff. Let's press the Option key, my usual formula if you know this. Let's click on the white and look at this. It's not burned out. You see, it's all black, meaning that the RAW file has got hidden information. If I go to the right, I'm starting to see the sun. Okay, when I'm starting to see the sun, I drop it. Okay, then I do the blacks and I do the same thing. And now I've got a contrast which is pretty cool. And it's a lot better, but it's not the right color because I was right into the sun and I was on automatic white balance. And when you're on automatic white balance into the sun, usually it's too green, it's too blue, which is the case here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to shade, I'm sorry. Shade is already much better because shade, when you have photos where the sun is in the photo, try to go with shade. It's a good starting point. But for this, I want to make like a Gone with the Wind type of photo, very like Steven Spielberg, war horse type of photo, with this really dramatic sky. So for this, I'm just going to go right on the temperature with the, with the yellow and add a bit of of magenta, something like that. I'm gonna go really yellow. I think it's the proper color. It's the good look for that photo. Okay, and next what I'm going to do is add, I'm not going to add clarity because it doesn't work on that photo. So I'm just going to leave clarity alone. I'm going to add maybe a bit of contrast and a bit of vibrance. Okay, not much. And voila, then I'm going to go into the lens correction. I'm going to enable profile correction as I usually do. Doesn't do much on this one. Then I'm going to go to colors and remove chromatic aberration. We can see if there is any chromatic aberration. No, not that much. It's good for photo that was taken into the sun, but I still, make sure that's on. And then one thing which is important, if you go onto the horse, because it's an underexposed photo, you can see it's got some noise. So let's go into noise reduction and let's go to around. I'm going to go big on this one. I'm going to go like 40. I want to make sure there is like hardly, you see, no more noise. Ooh, I love the noise reduction. And on colors, I'm going to go like 79. That's very important. Okay, now I don't have any noise in that photo, and I like the way it looks. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it even more warmer. So I'm going to go into the hue, saturation, and luminance. And I'm just going to, you see the first three colors, red, orange, and yellow as the warm colors. I'm going to put a bit more red, a bit more orange, and a bit more yellow on the saturation. And I'm going to go on the hue. And on the hue, I'm going to take anything which is a bit green and go towards the yellow. And anything which is orange, go a bit towards the, no, not the red. This one I'm not going to touch. And maybe a bit this one, yeah. It's mainly the third line, the yellows. You see anything which is like yellow greenish, more towards the yellow. Okay, I like that. Maybe add a bit more contrast. I really want the photo to be dramatic. I love this dramatic effect. Okay, and now that we've taken care of the noise, let's take care of the sharpening. And as usual, press the Option key when you do the sharpening, because you want to make sure, it's not. Press the Option key when you use the masking. On the sharpening, let's go the whole way to 77. Now, usually when you follow my tutorials, I go to about 90 on the sharpening. And this time I'm going to go to 77 because it's a pretty noisy photo. Okay, but I'm still going to do the masking. So press the Option key and go on the right. As usual, it creates a mask. More I go on the right, which I'm going to do a lot on this one. Anything which is black is not going to get sharpened. So I don't want the sky to be sharpened. So that's pretty cool. Okay, and one thing that's very important on this photo is to crop it, to make it more panorama, more cinema looking. So I'm going to take the crop tool. I'm going to take the angle tool to make sure the horizontal line is cool. So I'm just going to follow the horizontal line. It's going to make the photo straight. And then before I hit Hunter, I want to take out some of the bottom and some of the top. Just make it more panoramic. I think it works better. It's more like movie style, because we want to go like Gone with the Wind. Okay, and so that's pretty cool. And then I'm going to do some heavy post-crop vignetting. Okay, yeah, I want the photo to be like a bit dark. All right. Next, but last but not least, actually no, I'm going to go a bit less on the post-crop vignetting. But I think that the grass in front is not so nice. So I'm going to take a brush here. When you open the brush tool, you got all the settings of the brush tool. Make sure everything is at 0. For this, you press the Option key. The reset button appears. You click on it. Everything goes down to 0. And then you go minus exposure. And I'm just going to, just to get some attention out of the grass, I'm going to darken the front here. I want the attention to be on the horse, on this beautiful horse. Now, it's not going very fast because my flow is at 64 and my density is at 68. I should have checked that. So I'm going to put this back to 100 and try again. And now it's going to get darker, which is cool. And I'm also going to create a new brush. And this time I'm going to darken the top of the sky. Yeah, just a little top of the sky. I want to make this even more dramatic sky. Okay, I kind of like that. Now we've got some here. If we zoom here at 100%, we can see there's some flare here. And these ones are very distracting. So I'm going to use this tool. And no, you know what? I'm going to go, well, I'll show you two things. Let's say you don't have Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, you can just use the spot healing tool here and just click on this. Make sure it samples something clean. Okay, that's perfect. And click on that. Make sure it takes something clean. And voila, we have almost nothing. But you see here, this, I have a bit of lens flare here. It's a bit too bright here. So let's create a new brush. Let's see if we can do it in Lightroom. A new brush. Okay, and this time I'm gonna darken here. Yes, but it's too strong and it's too big. So I'm gonna, you see, I can darken more or darken less. So I'm gonna darken less and less. And I just want to darken the center. So I'm gonna make my brush smaller with my wheel, and I want to brush inside here. And I want to make this a bit darker. Not too much. I just want to take out the lens flare. Okay, and this is too strong now. So if it's too strong outside, you can press minus and just erase anything on the brush you don't want. I didn't do such a good job. Okay, it's hard to do. Yeah, I'm gonna do this in Photoshop because it's kind of hard to do in Lightroom. But anyway, it's already a pretty nice photo in Lightroom. So I show you the before and after. That's the before, that's the after. Pretty amazing, huh? Quite a difference. And if you want to take out the lens flare, well, then just right click and go into edit, into Photoshop CS6. Okay, Photoshop CS6 opens up. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to duplicate the layer. Then I'm going to detect the stem tool, which is here. And I'm going to put, let's go normal mode, but let's lower the opacity to 50%. That's important. Okay, let's try that. And I'm just going to sample from here and just, with a clone stem tool, the idea is to take out, I don't like this lens flare. It looks kind of weird, So I just want to make it a bit less visible. So I'm going to take some sample here and go here. And as I have a 50% stem tool, it doesn't exactly do it 100%. I'm going to sample from here, for example, and go here just to take out some of the lens flare here also. Maybe make this a bit smaller. The idea is that we take this flare a bit off, It's just a bit too strong. Before, after, it's a bit more complex. It's very subtle. I can even lower the opacity if you think it's a bit too strong. But yeah, I kind of like it. It just took out a bit the attention of the lens flare. And, and you can do some other technique like dodge and burning and things like this. But the whole idea is that I want to encourage you to take photos into the sun, I think it works very well. So that's the photo backs from Photoshop. And I think, I think I'm gonna add even so. You can continue to retouch it even it comes back from Photoshop and just go even more crazy on the white balance, even more yellow, and add even more vibrance to it. To make it really crazy. I really love very saturated photo, and it doesn't work on all photos, but on this one I think it works. So there's to show you where we started from. This is the before and after. Let me show you the before and after. That's the before, that's the after. Quite a change. And that's the final result that we got here with this photo. That's the before Lightroom, that's the after in Photoshop. So that's the final result. So yeah, that's it. And hope you like taking photos into the sun. It makes like this very dramatic scene. And voila. Now, before we finish, I just want to show you. Yeah, I just want to show you something new on my website. If you go on photoserge.com, this is my website. You click on the App Store, you get all my training. The thing that's new is now you see there is two buttons. The first one is streaming and the other one is download. On the streaming, you basically can view the training right away and you still get a link to download the raw files to follow along. And the download training, you have to download first all the videos and all the raw files before you can start watching. So that's the only difference. It's the exact same price. All the training is like this. So if you're a bit impatient and want to start right away and don't want to wait for all the downloads, you can just click on play training. It's voila, it's a little difference. And as usual, the package is what sells the most. either all Lightroom 4 training, all Photoshop training, or all Photoshop and Lightroom 4 training. And voila. So hope you do buy some of this training. I go into more details than on the podcast, and it helps me support doing this for free for you weekly. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the studio. Okay guys, so I hope you like that tutorial. I love taking photos straight into the sun, and I highly recommend it for you. Okay, this week's inspiration is the folks over at photographytalks.com. It's a very, very good website. On this website, you've got great articles on basics of photography, how to photography things. You've got galleries, where you can see the best photos. You can upload your whole album. They've got a great community, a great forum. They review products and cameras, all this for free. And they have been promoting a lot my podcast. And so I want to promote them because I really think it's a great community website if you want to learn about photography. So check them out, photographytalk.com. If you like this podcast, please like it or comment it. It helps promote the video on YouTube. It's just one little click for you, like a like or a comment, and it helps to promote it to many other photographers. So I really thank you in advance for that. Thank you very much for being there, guys, and I'll see you next week.